It is no surprise. It appears that the President of the United States, Mr. Daddy Trump, thinks he can be above the law. Now, let me just say this. There have been a few people that's been discussing this. That, first off, I'm going to say he's been having accounts in Deutsche Bank, and he's had something to do with the Russians, with Deutsche Bank, like opening account for the Russians or giving money to the Russians, whatever it was. And the judge forces him to show those reports or financial records to Congress. Now, two men have said that you think it's necessary for the president to be forced to give financial record reports to Congress, and he said absolutely not. And he's like, a judge can't make you do that. I mean, if the president doesn't want to share his documents with Congress, or financial records from Deutsche Bank to Congress and that stuff, then he should be free not to. But here's what's really going on. The judicial branch is trying to check the political branch here and make sure that the political branch doesn't have too much power between the political and the judicial branch, and then there's a executive branch. All right. That one branch, which is a political branch, is not in check with the judicial and the executive branch. Back in history, I remember reading that each branch has to check each other and make sure that they're in balance. Alright? Now, the president can't be above the law. Otherwise, if one of the branches is above all the other branches and that stuff, then there's going to be a problem. Now, Mr. Trump is also diagnosed as being a narcissist. And he's been making offensive Twitter posts. And I'll say this. Mr. Trump's posts on Twitter are they're not really good. So, Trump has been, the first post that I've seen from watching the late night show by Stephen Colbert was, Mr. Trump wants to use July 4th as honoring himself. Which, by obvious reasons, it's supposed to be you honor your country day, not honor the president. Like, Donald Trump wants to make July 4th as an honoring himself. And that's what a narcissist does. A narcissist would actually try to use a holiday and make himself feel good. So, exactly why am I talking about this? Well, because it's stupid, in my opinion. It's very stupid. In fact, nobody should be above the law. Now, Donald Trump, his tweets, as I've mentioned the first one, about July 4th, and one of the posts that Donald Trump made was he wants to have war on Iran because he suspects Iran to have nuclear weapons. And he's like, nobody can mess with the United States. The United States is the most beautiful country in the world. And nobody can attack and mess with us. Nobody can. That's why I'm taking that initiative to actually start a war. And hey, I can play tough guy with China. You can play tough guy with China. Nobody in China, or nobody should be getting stuff. First off, let me ask, how many of you viewers own stuff from China? Most of you. Almost every one of you. Everybody owns something in China, right? Well, yeah, that's the question Donald Trump, Mr. Daddy Trump, has asked. And you're doing that while you're asking how many people you're too busy about being tough guy with China. You're too worried about that. And you want to act like America's the toughest country around, and you don't even care for you don't care what happens. You just want to have all the power in the world. And that's all you care about during your presidency. That's all you care about. I gotta say, Mr. Trump, you are a complete loser for making all those negative Twitter posts. And you don't care about you don't even care about. The only thing you care about is power, right? That's the only thing you care about. I'm certainly not. I'm not completely impressed with Mr. Trump. I'm really not. He's a he's a narcissistic businessman. And we know most businessmen are gonna, treat the coworkers very poorly at their jobs. I I would certainly want to hope that Donald Trump gets impeached by the time 2020 arrives. Otherwise, by the time 2020 arrives, there's going to be some real problems. Like, Donald Trump could probably want to start making a war between the United States and some other country, and I could say, he could try to, level himself from being a president to become, a dictator. And a dictator, as we know, has so much power. In fact, it has too much power. A dictator is above the law. So, yeah. Mr. Trump is gonna have real issues. In fact, there are a few video footages where he, he loves people from other countries. But he says they represent another state, like Vladimir Putin. He says he likes Putin. He's from Russia. He represents Russia. I represent the United States. I like Kim Jong-un. He's from North Korea. I'm from the United States. See, we both represent other things. But give me a break. What does Mr. Trump think he is? I mean, seriously. If Daddy Trump thinks that he can stay in office, he's obviously wrong. There are people, especially Nancy Pelosi, does not even like the guy. Nancy Pelosi said that nobody, even the President of the United States, can be above the law. Nobody can. And she's definitely right. Nobody can be above power. Nobody can be above the law. And I made a video recently, and I talked about how nobody can act like they're the tough guy and that they're above the law. Like, nobody can do that. Nobody can do it. Since I'm not mistaken. And you can't. You can't. You can't ever do anything that'll get you above the law. If you think you can get above the law and that stuff, next thing that's gonna do is get you arrested. Anyway. So, what do you think? I know President Trump, the reason why Congress is getting all those financial records and that stuff, because a judge ordered him to do it, was because Donald Trump is expected of having having criminal activity. All right, you can't have a president in office that wants to play tough guy and think he can get away with stuff. You can't do it. All right, don't tell me that it's not possible for a president to actually get arrested when he wants to, like, be the complete loser that he's trying to make himself look like. Like, it doesn't work that way. It certainly doesn't work that way. How can you how can you how could you, like, perform like criminal acts during your presidency and actually still stay in office? It's not even possible. You can't be a narcissistic president and still expect to stay in office for 4 years. Like, Trump isn't. Trump is not the kind of guy that you want to have in office. And he's certainly not the kind of president you want to have represent the United States. Oh, this computer is just smart. Anyway, Donald Trump should have never have been elected. But nobody knew his background history. Nobody knew that he was a narcissist. The only person that knew he was a big narcissist was, well, almost nobody. Nobody had suspected Donald Trump to be a big narcissist. Nobody seen it coming. Nobody's seen it come since the beginning of his election. In fact, one post that can seriously... Well, after the death of John McCain, Mr. Trump said negative things about John McCain after his death. Alright? So, that's an example of he wasn't sorry for John McCain passing away. He just said, oh, well, John McCain had this problem and that problem, and, he was like, he had some things going on with himself that weren't really... He had, some health issues and that stuff, and, narcissists don't feel sorrow for anything. All they say or think is, why are you constantly attacking me and that stuff? I mean, I remember how narcissists act. They hate every single holidays. They hate every single holiday. Because I've been exposed to living with one. And the narcissist that I've been exposed to living to is already dead. Which... I feel safe and secure now. Because I don't have to, encounter that same narcissist that I had to live with again. But, yeah. Donald Trump needs to get impeached here. He needs to get impeached. Because the more Twitter posts that get out there and that stuff, the sooner or later somebody's going to read those posts and they're going to say, alright, something needs to be done about this and that stuff. Because Donald Trump can't keep making these posts saying that he's going to start wars with these people or these countries. And, be completely almost acts like a criminal during his presidency and still remain in office and be above the law. He should be impeached, and Mr. President and Mr. Daddy Trump should be removed from office. And impeachment is what you want right away. That's exactly what you want right there. That's exactly what needs to happen with the president. He needs to be voted on impeachment. That's exactly what he wants. Because I don't know how long people are going to want a president to stay in office that is above the law. He never kept his promise that he was gonna make America great again. He's making himself great. He's making himself look like the greatest president in the world. Am I right? Of course I am. His promise was not to make America great again. The promise was to make himself a great president. You see what I'm getting there? See, narcissists say something to make themselves look good. Alright? We all wanted to hear that Donald Trump would make America great again. Is it happening? No. He's making a bad image of America, which is the U.S. president himself, and he's making himself look like the greatest president of everybody else. And he always liked to play tough guy with all these other presidents of other countries, like Vladimir Putin. He even insulted Kim Jong-un when North Korea threatened to launch 5 nuclear weapons to the world. And Kim Jong-un was trying to repeat what Russia was trying to do back in history. Like, there had been some war in Russia back in history, and Russia was trying to launch nuclear weapons that would wipe out the entire world. That's what Kim Jong-un was trying to do, too. And Trump didn't like the fact that he was trying to do that. So, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un started to go on name-calling wars, what I like to call it. And Trump was a real narcissist. Trump started insulting Kim Jong-un when the nuclear weapon crisis was still going on. And Kim Jong-un also insulted Donald Trump. But, yeah, you know what I'm saying here. Donald Trump is a complete narcissist. And that Tonight Show by Stephen Colbert actually proved it. Somebody sent 2 people to investigate Trump as being a narcissist. And from a scale of 1 to 10, Donald Trump was diagnosed of being a narcissist, and he was on a scale of 10 as being complete narcissist. And one of the comments, or one thing Stephen Colbert says that he read from Donald Trump's tweet post, he's like, okay, I don't know what a narcissist means, but I'm pretty sure that it means something very good about me. Yeah, Trump's an idiot, and he needs to get impeached immediately. Otherwise, there's going to be some real trouble in the future, like 2020 and beyond. And hopefully, somewhere in the year, well, I know after 2019, it's got to get worse because China is going to release their social credit system into the United States and the whole entire world. And they're going to make China is going to enforce their social credit systems to come to every single country by 2020. But I'll save that later for another video. I would make that video sometimes towards the end of 2019. And what's even worse is, well, this month, you'll have about 18 days left until the European Council and the European Parliament actually make Article 17 a bill until they pass the bill. Let's hope that Article 17 doesn't get passed. It's the next thing to see the president play tough guy with every single other country and try to just be above the law of the United States. But it's another for other countries to actually try to take America's freedom away, which the country was founded on. Anyway, This is Charles Morris. Have a good day. I will see you all in the next video.